Welcome to Winning Retirement Television. My name is Cynthia DeFazio, joined today by Greg and Kristen Taylor of Legacy Retirement Group. And to our viewers at home today, we're talking about reacting in retirement. This is going to be a very interesting show, so stay tuned. Kristen, how are you today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I am doing fantastic. I am in love with your outfit. You look gorgeous today.
I need to steal those earrings. That would go with this.
Beautiful.
You look gorgeous as well.
Thank you. Greg, how are you today?
I'm doing awesome. And today I'm wearing my turtle tie. You can't really see it, but it's got little tiny turtles on it.
So are you turtley enough?
I'm turtley enough. Yeah. So, but
It's a movie reference.
But our youngest son, Jaden, sent us a picture the other day. We were out of town for a couple of days, and he sent us a picture of this turtle he found.
Yes.
And it was a little tiny snapping turtle. So I'm wearing this in honor of Jaden today. And we told him, well, it's okay to hold that little snapping turtle when it's little, but you don't want to do that when it's a bigger turtle. Otherwise, you might be missing a finger.
True. True.
Now he wants one for Christmas, though. So
Does he
we can
really?
deal with that. Yeah, I don't want a turtle.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's talk about reacting in retirement. The reason is there was actually a study, the Wall Street Journal, and it says the more that people look at their 401ks, the lower their long-term returns are likely to be. At least that's according to the Wall Street Journal. So how often do you believe that we should be checking our accounts? Kristen, how often do you look?
Well, I think it's important to understand why they say that,
Okay.
right? Why they, Greg used to say, who are they?
That was my mother's favorite thing. They say.
Yes.
Who's they, Mom?
Or if they jump from a bridge, will you too? Will you jump? Who's
exactly.
they?
So where's the correlation coming from? If I look at my accounts more, my returns might not be as much. It's an emotional decision that gets made the more you look and the more nervous you get in a lot of cases.
True.
So that's where the correlation is coming from. They're saying, okay, if you're looking at it all the time and you're seeing those crazy downward swings, you might be more tempted to pull out when you shouldn't.
True.
Right?
True.
And then you sit long in cash or wherever, and now you don't get back in soon enough, and you miss the uptick, right? So you totally locked in those losses at this point. So that's where that emotional decision takes place and causes you to maybe not do as well on performance.
Kristen,
Makes sense.
we just got a couple 6 months ago. Back in 2008, the husband kept watching his account day after day after day after
It's me.
day.
I'm the problem in our relationship.
lonely day. And finally, he got to the point where he just couldn't take it anymore. And he pulled his money out of the market. And the wife, of course, she comes in braggingly, which is what Kristen would do if this happened to us. But she comes in and she says, in 2008, I left my money in the market, and she's done very, very well because she stayed the course. The husband, on the other hand, decided that he couldn't take any more losses after he was down almost 40%, and he pulled it out of the market, and he never put it back in.
This is where communications is key, and this is a little segue you probably didn't know I was going to take here. But,
Yeah, I didn't. What is it?
But I think you talk me off the ledge because you said that's something I would do, come in bragging. I would brag if I did better than you.
Yes.
So just for you watching, we do keep some finances separate, and we have like a little friendly competition about it.
Okay.
And I actually tend to be a little more aggressive than Greg in a lot of cases, but I also am the one that looks every day and gets nervous, and he talks me off the ledge. So I don't make the mistake of pulling it out because he talks me off the ledge.
I love that.
But if he talks me off the ledge and it goes down, then you know who gets the fault, right?
I know.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
I can't win.
Oh, yes.
If it does well, she takes the credit, and if it does badly, I take the blame.
Right. What's wrong? I see nothing wrong with this picture.
I can totally see how you can do it. Yes, I'm with you.
So what I tell young families, because, at church, young couples come up all the time. They know we're in finance, and they ask questions. And even though we don't work with young families, I'll give them some tips, and I'll say, put money into your Roth every single pay. Stay consistent. And I'll teasingly say, don't look at your statement for 30 years.
And I
don't really mean that.
And if I'm nearby, I almost always say, he doesn't mean that literally.
Yes, yes.
But the point is, I don't want them to get so excited when things are going well that they want to pull money out.
That's true. Good
Or
point.
get so discouraged when things are going poorly that they stop putting money in. So for young people, I don't want them to look regularly. I just want them to know that what they're invested in, make sure it's solid investments and keep plugging along paycheck after paycheck. For people that are 60 and older, I think it's important to do a mindset reset.
Okay.
And what I mean by that, doing a mindset reset, is they have their portfolio tested. Because invariably, when families come in, they believe they're taking less risk than they actually are. This is a big one because we do this thing in the office where we call it the financial eye test. And I ask them a series of questions between how much comfort they have with the portfolio going down and how much excitement they get when the portfolio goes up. And we have to have a trade-off. Which trade-off are you comfortable with between how much it can fall and how much it can go up? And as we go through the series of which looks better, the one on the left or the one on the right? And now, okay, you answer the one on the right. Okay, now which one looks better, the one on the left or the one on the right?
Yes.
And we finally get to the point where they've answered all the questions and we get their risk score. It could be anywhere from 1, meaning the market, just the sound of the market scares me to death, or 99, if I lost half my money, I'd be so excited to be able to invest more. Okay, so typically people aren't a 1 or a 99, but we're going to find out where they stand. And so the importance of that is to keep them within check emotionally. If your comfort zone is between here and here, we want to do our best to keep the portfolio in those areas.
Yes.
Invest in such a way that there's a 95% probability that they're not going to exceed the gains of those highs or the low of those lows. And there's always exceptions to that. But, you know, that's the probability. And that's what we're shooting for. Is how do we keep you comfortable? How do we help you stay in the game? How do we keep you from pulling all your money out when things are going poorly in the market or when it's an election year? Any of those things that are going on that can affect us emotionally.
Well, you know,
Right.
while you're talking there, Greg, I thought about, have you ever been in the grocery store and you see this line and that, of course, now they're all self-checkout, but you see these lines and you think this line's best and you look over there and that one's moving faster. So you move in that line and then you're like, oh man, they need a price check. So you got to move over to this line, right?
Yes.
Right?
That
That's what
is-
it's almost like.
Yes.
Well,
Because
wait.
you start making these changes before you even give a chance to understand what the change needs to be, right?
It's true.
So understanding where you stand first is important so you know what to change.
Absolutely.
So I look at the cashiers, I don't look at the lines. And I see how they're moving and then I decide what line I'm going to go in.
Smart.
Yeah.
Or we can go into A-list at Southwest and then somebody's, they're at the counter
happened last
and they've
time.
got 3 suitcases that they're pulling stuff out of because they're all overweight.
They didn't plan.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Yeah.
What'd you do?
We went to the regular folk line.
Smart.
That's what we did.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. It did not pay to be A-list that day.
No.
Yes.
No, not at all.
Sometimes you
Plan
have to
ahead.
switch.
So
You have to
when it-
plan.
Yes. So when it comes to investing, its structure, how it's put together, and its philosophy. Do I just ride the roller coaster ride or do I plan a little smarter? And that comes down to getting your portfolio tested. We call it a portfolio X-ray.
Okay.
Come in, get it tested, see where you stand, see where you feel comfortable, and see if your portfolio is actually in line and see if there's some improvements to be made.
Perfect time to open the phones and let's offer that portfolio X-ray.
Yes, if you are wondering, where do I stand? Am I on track for retirement? Is my portfolio structured properly for where I am in life? Pick up the phone, give us a call, 614-336-7660, Portfolio X-ray, at no obligation, by the way. It's just finding out where you stand today. 614-336-7660.
Greg, thank you so much. Kristen, thank you so much. To our viewers at home, that number to call is on your screen, 614-336-7660. Don't miss the opportunity to have your portfolio X-ray done today. Again, 614-336-7660, or grab your phone, click on that QR code at the bottom corner of your screen. That will take you right to the landing page of Legacy Retirement Group. We're going to take a very short commercial break. Don't go anywhere. When we come back, we're going to talk about having multi-generations of families living underneath one roof. That is something that's very popular right now. How important is it for immediate family members to be on the same page financially when it comes to retirement planning? Stay tuned.
The work never seems to end until the day it finally does. After nearly a lifetime on the job, you should be rewarded for all the time you spent working. Whether that's crossing off items on your bucket list, learning a new passion, or rekindling the love of an old one. After all, life isn't over when you stop working. It's the start of an all-new chapter. The one where you're the writer and you get to choose how your story will go. A way to achieve that is by having a clear financial plan to sustain your golden years. The biggest fear most retirees have is if they'll have enough money to maintain the lifestyle they've always enjoyed. Having a plan to help protect you against the curveballs life often throws will help to maintain your lifestyle. Call today to get your free written financial plan so you may live every day to the fullest and enjoy the retirement of your dreams.
Welcome back to Winning Retirement TV. My name is Cynthia DeFazio, joined today by Greg and Kristen Taylor of Legacy Retirement Group. And in this segment, we're going to talk about something that's very popular right now. It's not uncommon for adult kids to move back in with mom and dad. And a survey that was recently done by the New York Post says that 85% of parents are happy that their kids are back home. I would agree with that. If Ariana ever needed to come back home, I would be one happy camper.
Really?
Yes, I love her that much.
Well, I know. I mean, I do love my boys, but I am excited for the day where they're out of the house. I don't know that I'd want to go back to it, but ask me again in a couple years.
I don't think so.
Yeah, so I might change my story. But, you know,
Yes.
part of the reason is housing's gotten so expensive.
Yes.
Right? And so for a college graduate that isn't making much money trying to pay off student loans, I mean, we've seen it in our practice with the families we work with where they just don't have the means to live on their own yet between the debt from college and the rising housing costs. So I think that's one factor. But really having a set of rules would come into play, I would think. Because what do you do if they want to stay out late and you go to bed early? We've talked about this.
I know. So
and
with
they're coming
our
in
home-
at 2 a.m. What do you do?
Yeah, so our primary bedroom is upstairs, and we have a big guest bedroom downstairs with a full bath.
that's
so
perfect.
so she really could have her own. Although the dogs would still hear her and bark, so maybe
Paco
we
would
should
not like that, would he?
Paco would be upset.
Yes.
What about Belle?
Oh, Belle is funny. She will be totally silent, and if she hears one little creak, I'm saying one little thing, she barks her little head off.
Oh, yeah.
As a matter of fact, we had some vandalism happen recently, and I almost remember that night she did wake up and bark in the middle of the night, and she probably heard them
Yes.
doing their dirty deeds outside. You know?
100%.
Yeah. So I think dogs definitely would hear. So I don't know. How do you feel about
Yeah.
that? Would you be okay?
know, it depends on the reason, I think. The reason they need to move back home, because, you know, our oldest son, Christian, plans to be a missionary. And so we don't know where the Lord's going to take him,
Right.
you know, what field he'll work in. And so we're excited to see him blossom as a young man and find his place, right? Our
You're
middle
getting
son.
choked up, aren't you?
Yeah, a little bit. Our middle son.
I see a glisten in your eye.
Our middle son,
too.
it plans to be a doctor, and that's going to require a number of years. And so we've kind of planned out for him to be able, if he goes to Ohio State or somewhere locally, for him to be able to stay at home but have some privacy, so that he'll be able to, you know, flourish and not have to worry about renting an
Tons of
apartment
debt.
and, you know,
Yes.
creating a lot of student loans and extra debt because he has to pay for housing. So, but there would be a point where, you know, okay, you're a big boy now. You need to start, you know, doing big boy things and paying your bills. And our youngest son, Jaden, I don't know what God's got in store for him, but, you know, so I could see him wanting to hang
I
around.
was just telling one of the producers the other day, I don't know that he'll ever live totally independently unless he just finds an amazing wife, which I pray for every day.
Yes, yes. Well, because
But-
you're such an amazing mom, so
I'm his
big
wife,
shoes to
basically.
fill.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
He does not leave my side.
I know. I
But
love
we
that.
have families that you know, they come in and, you know, Greg, our plans have changed because, you know, in fact, there's a couple that we just brought on, and their daughter lived out of state. Husband wasn't a good guy. She got divorced. She's trying to put her life back together, and they're trying to help her. In that situation, I see where, okay, come in, let's help you put the pieces together. Let's do this. Let's get you back on your feet. Let's get you back as an independent woman thriving in life. And so that's their goal. And I think the main reason I wouldn't want the boys to live back at home isn't that I wouldn't want them back home, but I want them to be thriving in life to where they didn't need to be back home.
Well,
Yes,
and I think
true.
going back to the original part of the conversation is having a plan, just like with anything else we discuss on the show every week, is really knowing what the idea is. What is the end game here? What are we talking about? Is this lifelong? Is this to a certain point? What is it that we need to plan for as we're a part of maybe the planning process and helping give you permission to say, okay, you're going to have the rest of your life to work, talking to the child, whereas I only have X amount of years left to work if I'm still working. And if I'm already retired, I only have X amount of dollars to live on for an unknown amount of time. So not giving so much to them that it's to your detriment.
True.
And there's such a balance that needs to happen
Yes.
because, we've seen a generation come through our office that they lived on so very little so that they could leave such a big amount to their heirs. And now we're starting to see those that were the beneficiaries of their parents being good planners have that nest egg, but expenses have gotten higher. We've seen record-breaking inflation. We've seen medical expenses, inflating as well. And so now they're needing more to live on. And now their children are needing more help because their expenses are getting higher. So
True.
really understanding all of that and really sitting down and nailing down the process. Greg and I aren't here to rearrange how a family is decided to live. We're just here to help understand the goals and get you to that point successfully.
Sure.
Because a solid retirement plan, Cynthia, it has to be flexible.
Absolutely.
We call it oftentimes in the office a living, breathing organism.
I
It's true,
coined that
though.
phrase.
Yes. And I don't know if you coined the phrase living, breathing
In our
organism.
office.
Okay, in the
But
office.
in the
yes.
office.
Yes. So with that, we want to be able to help people no matter what life throws their way.
Right.
Yes.
So whether it's in their investment plan, their income plan, their tax plan, or whatever, we want them to feel confident that when things get thrown at them in life, that they have a way to adjust.
And that's what it comes down to. And
It really
so often
does.
when you're talking about adult children moving back in, we talk about the correlation of being on an airline, and they always say, put your mask on first before assisting others.
it.
And it's so true. You have to make sure that you have planned properly to be able to take care of yourself before helping others.
Yeah, and I love that analogy. Put your mask on, and what does that
Yes.
mean for finances? It means starting the process, whether you're picking up the phone and calling 614-336-7660 or just going to our website. Sometimes that's easier, just to
Yes.
go click on legacyretirementgroup.com, getting the information you need there, scheduling an appointment, requesting a download of the My Retirement Kit. Any of those steps can be the first step towards your winning retirement.
Absolutely. Kristen, thank you so much. Greg, thank you so much. To our viewers at home, the phone number to call is on your screen, 614-336-7660, or you can grab your smartphone, click on that QR code as well. We're going to take a very short commercial break here on Winning Retirement TV with Greg and Kristen Taylor. We have so much more about planning your retirement when we return.
You've got quite an extensive resume. Wow, so many years of management. Bet that was fun. So this job requires basic knowledge of the social media and video platforms, content creation, and SEO. How proficient are you in those areas?
Going back to work after retiring is not ideal. I'm Kristen Taylor with Legacy Retirement Group. If you've amassed a nest egg, it's time for a financial advisor to help you reach your retirement goals. This is one of the greatest tax windows in history. Now is the time to take advantage of this tax discount while you can. We specialize in retirement planning, tax mitigation, estate planning, and much more. Plan your retirement right. Call now for your portfolio review and tax analysis.
Welcome back to Winning Retirement Television. My name is Cynthia DeFazio, joined today by Greg and Kristen Taylor of Legacy Retirement Group. Today's show is very interesting, obviously talking about a lot of topics that surround the importance of planning for retirement. And I know that you get so many different phone calls and website visitors. In fact, here's just a handful of folks that have reached out recently. We had a firefighter, a geological engineer, a city employee, a worker from a bottling company, a dental hygienist, and even a small business owner. Variety of backgrounds with various questions. But in your experience, what's the main concern that Ohioans are facing right now about retirement? Greg?
The top three for me that I hear consistently amongst all types of workers is taxes. Will I outlive my money? And healthcare concerns. Am I going to deal with long-term care? Am I going to deal with a nursing home stay? Am I going to deal with things like that?
What does it look like, right?
Yes, and regardless of what happens, am I going to be okay?
Yes.
So when it comes to taxes, we look at their situation. Well, you have to look at a number of factors. How much has someone saved? Number one.
Okay.
How much income do they need to generate from what they've saved? And what is their health like? Because someone that's in very, very poor health is probably less likely to need long-term care. And they may not have as much time to think about how they manage the long-term effect of taxes. Because if we think honestly, and we look at the landscape of America right now, and I think it's important that we take an honest picture of what's going on in our country right now, because we've got, approximately $35 trillion in debt.
Yes.
We have Social Security that's not fully funded.
Yes.
Medicare and Medicaid are being stressed out. They really are financially. So the amount of income we have coming in as a nation is not covering all our expenses. So when we look at that landscape and we ask ourselves, are tax rates likely to stay where they are or go lower, or are they more likely to go higher? In your opinion, what would you say?
Hands down, no contest, going higher. They have to.
So if that is what actually comes to be, if that's what happens, do we want to pay taxes in this tax environment, or do we want to delay taxes to see what Uncle Sam does next, to see what the government potentially does next? So from a tax standpoint, then do we want to take control of our taxes, or do we want to just wait and see?
Take control.
I think it kind of makes sense. So when people come in, they have concern about taxes, but generally they don't know exactly where they stand.
Right. And that's common with everyone listed here. And I review the report that Courtney does an amazing job in our office every week. Jessica is who most of you talk to when you call in from the show, but then Courtney pulls all the information and gets it to us. And these people all have one thing in common. They've done an amazing job of saving.
Yes.
And those concerns you listed are some of the top concerns that are in the report from these callers.
Wow. Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just how it is. Taxes is huge. If you've saved over $1 million, you are worried about taxes.
Of course.
You watching today, if you're thinking, oh yeah, I saved over $1 million, am I worried about taxes? More than likely, the answer is going to be yes.
Absolutely.
So what do you do about it? First thing I would suggest is find out where you stand. And the way you can do that without having to call us, without having to come in, without having to commit to anything, is just go to testmyretirement.com. Let me say that again, testmyretirement.com. You don't have to call first. You don't have to do anything. Just go to Test My Retirement. You put in some information. You'll get a report that will show you what your potential required minimum distributions could be, what your taxes could look like in retirement versus if you start going down the path of potentially shifting to tax-free. So testmyretirement.com. Now, let's talk about the second biggest concern that we're hearing, and that is, am I going to have enough income? Will I run out of money? And there's ways to ensure your income.
Okay.
In other words, to plan in such a way, once you do the math, and that's what we love to do, just do the math. It's not that hard. It's just math. And once we figure out the math, how much income someone's got coming in, how much they really need for income, what the gap is, and finding the least amount of resources necessary to fill that gap. Now, people, once that's done and they initiate that, they can pay their bills, they can go on vacation, they can spoil their grandkids, they can do all the things they wanted to do in retirement. Now, we're going to suggest they have $50,000 to $100,000 tucked away in their emergency fund. So money in the bank, enough income to pay your bills and have fun. Now, the money you have tucked away for growth is not necessary for emergencies, and it's not necessary for day-to-day income. So this money can grow over time like it was meant to be.
Wow.
Money in the market needs time to be effective. If you're pulling out income regularly, you're interrupting the time cycle, and that can spell doom. Doesn't mean it always will, but it can. So how do you effectively not run out of money? You create a plan that's sustainable so that you can have confidence that you're not going to outlive or outrun your money. So that's really the key there. And then long-term care. There's a big problem with long-term care right now when it comes to long-term care insurance, and that is it's hard to find companies that offer it that are actually profitable with it. So one of the largest providers of long-term care insurance in the country last year raised their rates 110%.
110%.
110%.
That's crazy.
So a family paying $4,000 a year is now having to pay over $8,000 a year for the same policy.
Oh my gosh.
So I don't know how sustainable that model is over time, and primarily it was an underwriting problem, I believe. So there are alternatives. And we don't have enough time today on the show to go over all the alternatives, but when people call in for their complete planning review, one of the things we do is show them alternatives, ways. So for instance, one example, a hybrid contract where they put, an example, someone could put $200,000 in it and potentially have over $400,000 to use for long-term care. If they don't need it, the money goes to their family plus its growth. If they do need it, now it's available. So those are things that don't require as much underwriting either.
Finding solutions to all the concerns.
Yes, and it all comes down to proper planning.
Yes.
Kristen, thank you for another amazing episode. Greg, thank you so much as well. To the viewers at home, most specifically, thank you for spending time with us today. This is your opportunity to schedule your complete planning review. All you have to do is call in 614-336-7660 or grab your smartphone, click on that QR code at the bottom corner of your screen, and you can claim your time accordingly. Be safe, be happy, and be blessed. We'll see you back 1 week from today on Winning Retirement TV. Take care.